Let TV8 News help you make ends meet in 1992. We'll show you how to stretch your dollar, cope with financial stress, and if you're out of work, we'll help you try to find a job. Making 92 better for you on TV8, Iowa's news leader.
It will be in Albertville, nestled in the French Alps, where they will conquer mountains, shatter time, dazzle the senses, and dare the impossible. As the world watches, they will share their hopes and dreams, their struggles and triumphs.
The 1992 Olympic Winter Games are coming to TV8. Share a moment with the world.
Steve Oswald, TV8 News Break. Coming up tonight at 6, we'll be going live to Dubuque via New Star 8, where the Iowa Winter Games are underway this weekend. Some vandalism in Des Moines overnight at an Operation Rescue office. And TV8's Jeff Greenwood with a program to help the blind learn more about saving lives and using CPR. Now this.
Be a part of the TV8 News team. If you see news happen, call the TV8 News line at 247-8844.
Steve says it should be nice tomorrow with partly cloudy skies and warmer temperatures. Jeff with sports at 6.
Bill Clinton says Republicans are behind the allegations of marital infidelity. And President Bush spends the day working on his State of the Union address. This is the CBS Evening News. And I'm Bob Schieffer. Good evening. Democratic presidential candidate Bill Clinton blamed Republican Party campaign operatives and old political enemies back home for the allegations of marital infidelity that were raised this week in a supermarket tabloid. The accusation came as Clinton again denied there was any truth to the reports. Scott Pelley is traveling with the Clinton campaign today, and he has our report.
Governor Bill Clinton fought back today against allegations of infidelity. Before dawn in Little Rock, Clinton told CBS News he believes Republicans in Arkansas promoted the story of an extramarital affair that appeared in a supermarket tabloid this week.
This tabloid journalism in accord with the Republicans down here working together, putting out money, produces a story which somehow backed its way into the respectable press.
Clinton campaign staff members allege local Republicans helped the Star tabloid arrange the story, in which Jennifer Flowers claims a 12-year affair with the governor. Clinton denies the affair, but the fidelity factor became a question today at almost every campaign stop.
The news media get all energized, and other stories, legitimate ones about the issues, about what's really at stake in this election, get driven away.
Clinton has refused to answer direct questions about allegations of other affairs in his past, saying only he and his wife Hillary have overcome their problems. Today, he dismissed the allegations as politically unimportant.
No real voters talk about it.
Tomorrow night, the governor hopes to kill the question once and for all. He and Hillary Clinton will appear on 60 Minutes immediately after the Super Bowl, with its audience estimated at over 100 million viewers.
I've been asked most questions about my personal life anybody could ever ask, and I've answered most of them already, and I don't expect to say anything that is inconsistent with what I've already said.
The most effective thing that can happen is for Hillary Clinton, his wife, to say, look, whatever's happened has happened, and I haven't been abused or mistreated. I don't think he's disloyal. I think she can inoculate him to a large degree if she convinces the public that she's not a wronged woman.
Here in Boston tonight, Clinton campaign officials are saying that it is urgent to end this state of uncertainty because they believe it is getting in the way of the governor's message. There is also some concern that political fundraisers may be worried about the allegations. Bob?
Scott, I know that there were different people in the Clinton campaign had different ideas about whether he ought to do this interview tomorrow night and hit this question head on. Why do you think he decided in the end that this was what he ought to do?
At the end of the day, it appears they decided that Clinton must face the issues, as you say, head on to put it behind him once and for all. They also wanted to show he and Hillary together in front of that audience of 100 million people.
Okay, Scott Pelley. And joining us now from New Hampshire, where he's campaigning today for President Bush, is Texas Senator Phil Gramm, who is also the chief fundraiser for the Republican senatorial candidates. and an astute observer of politics himself. Senator Graham, we want to talk about President Bush and how you think he's doing up there. As you say, you're up there defending him against all opponents, foreign and domestic. But what do you make of this statement that Clinton is saying that he believes the Republicans are somehow working with the tabloids on this allegation that's been made?
Well, Bob, I don't know anything about it, but I've been around politics long enough to know that politicians have to blame somebody for their problems.
Do you think that that's going to be the end of the story, or?
I don't have the foggiest idea. I don't know anything about the story.
Okay, well, give us a sense of what's going on up in New Hampshire these days. How much of a threat is Pat Buchanan going to be to President Bush?
Well, Bob, I think the president turned the campaign around when he came up here. New Hampshire's economy is in trouble. People want to send a message. The question is who to send the message to. And I think the answer is to vote for the president, to send a message to Congress, to get on with doing something to put people back to work. I think the president's strength here is that deep down the people love the president. I think they wanted to be sure the president heard them, that he responded to them. I think he went a long way toward addressing that issue when he came up here, when he listened, when he said that maybe he didn't respond quickly enough. I think everybody up here is going to have the TV on for the State of the Union address. That's an important address.
You know, one of the most unusual political ads that I've ever heard of is the one that the president started running up there last night, I think it was, in which he more or less apologizes for the state of the economy. I think one of the lines in the ad is, we've known each other long enough that you can talk to me straight. And that's the president talking to the voters in New Hampshire. What does he hope to gain by that?
Well, Bob, you got to realize that George Bush knows the people here. He's been over the campaign turf here many times. He's been in the homes of many people here. Most people in New Hampshire say they don't know somebody running until they've met him 3 or 4 times. They've met the president many times. And I think what he's saying is this, that there was a slow response in dealing with the economy. The economy is much worse in New Hampshire than it is in many parts of the country, but that he's gotten the message and that he is about to respond. And he's about to respond with a program that is as bold as the program that he has responded with on things like nuclear disarmament and dealing with the Soviet Union. And I think that's what people up here want.
How much of a following is Pat Buchanan have up there? I know former President Nixon says he may get as much as 40% of the vote up there. Do you think that will happen?
I think that's not going to happen. I don't think that Buchanan is a factor. I think it's a question of people wanting to send a message. You had a fellow running a nudist colony here who got 20% of the vote in the primary against a sitting governor. So you can get a protest vote. There's no doubt about that. But I think the president is strong here. I think there's a strong residual affection for him. And I think that he's going to gain strength through Election Day. And a lot of people are going to go into the polling places, close the curtain, and decide to vote for George Bush.
All right. Thank you very much, Senator Phil Graham.
Thank you, Bob.
Also on politics, Democratic presidential hopefuls were courting black voters today in Washington. Jesse Jackson held his Rainbow Coalition convention, giving the candidates a chance to prove that their concerns extend beyond the middle class. Wyatt Andrews now with that report.
Jesse Jackson won 7 million votes for president 4 years ago, and today got the 5 major Democratic candidates to come scrap for a piece of his old constituency. That many votes is a powerful prize, and Jerry Brown tried to top the bidding early by suggesting Jackson would be his vice president.
I'm going to be looking for someone that you would recommend as a vice president. I think one of the best candidates to stand right in the first row.
4 years after Jackson's strong run, what to do with his followers, black voters in particular, remains a huge problem for the Democrats.
Most of the Democratic candidates in the field now, because they're trying to capture the white middle-class vote, are not loud advocates for the poor or the homeless.
Other issues like welfare and urban reconstruction, some experts fear, are vanishing as Democrats try to sound like Republicans.
Many of these things that are really critical to the viability of the black community, and particularly the inner city, we have simply not heard these candidates talk about.
The race question came at Governor Bill Clinton directly. Is Clinton's middle class a code word meaning conservative white?
It is you find a way to unify the middle class and the poor and try to stop the Republican right from dividing us.
What would Democrats do on urban policy? Senator Tom Harkin, who touts himself as the only true Democrat, would divert military funds.
Is that, yes, we can revitalize our cities, and it's right here in my blueprint, and it is. I intend to save $420 billion out of defense, and I'm going to put about $280 billion of it right back into this country, and a lot of it's going into the city.
Despite the misgivings about the black-white split among Democrats, that both races are in this party remains the Democrats' great strength. Even Republicans fear that the Democrat who motivates blacks and reclaims middle-class whites has the formula to win. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, Washington.
And still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, President Bush works on the details of his State of the Union address, and James Sartori gives us the cold facts about tomorrow's Super Bowl.
With the introduction of the 1992 LeSabre, Buick's reputation continues to grow. And it pleases us that people are taking notice, because LeSabre isn't just another fine motor car, it's a Buick. And Buick is rapidly becoming an enormous symbol for quality in America.
How could this happen? They've taken the secret.
Europeans are upset. The Kellogg's Mueslix cereal uses their secret recipe.
Yes, we kept in the family.
After all, they've been guarding this delicious secret forever. Ah, but this luscious blend of sweet fruit, crunchy nuts, and crisp whole grains was destined to become Kellogg's Mueslix.
Angelina, you told?
It wasn't me. I swear.
Kellogg's Mueslix, the European secret for great taste.
Love her, hold her, and remember our simple formula. At Dean Witter,
we measure success one investor at a time.
Pain from just one sensitive tooth can start the domino effect. Pain can make you stop brushing, lead to plaque buildup, gingivitis, periodontal disease, even tooth loss. Sensodyne toothpaste helps stop the pain and the domino effect.
President Bush spent the day preparing for what could be the most important speech of his presidency, his third State of the Union address. Jim Stewart now with more on the president's economic plan and the peace dividend.
President Bush is spending a rare weekend at home, rushing to flesh out the details of a State of the Union address expected to announce plans to both jumpstart the economy and slash defense spending. But the Russians have shuffled the deck for him again, approving their own budget this weekend that U.S. intelligence analysts say cuts the Red Army to the bone.
When Russia's recently announced defense budget proposal for the first quarter of this year, procurement appears to have been cut by about 80%.
My brief characterization of these forces is that the threat to the United States of deliberate attack from that quarter has all but disappeared for the foreseeable future.
The Russian cuts are certain to spur calls in Congress next week for the president to go even faster in an arms race suddenly speeding in reverse. Mr. Bush is expected to announce that ground-based MX missiles and portions of the Trident submarine fleet will soon join manned bombers as relics of the Cold War. It sets the stage for a fight between the Pentagon, which wants to keep manpower instead of weapons, and Congress, which has its own pet projects.
It's enormously frustrating to go up on the Hill and be told, no, we don't want you to cut that. No, we don't want you to close any bases. Well, don't close these programs down because they're important to us. But when are we going to see our peace dividend?
The new budget will also set aside funds for the Pentagon to help the former Soviet republics dismantle their nuclear weapons. But with 27,000 of them to deal with, skepticism abounds.
Some of it will seep out. That's not a suggestion for me that a weapon is going to get loose. It is a suggestion that for me to assume anything such as 100% performance on the part of the Soviets would be unwise.
It is precisely how both superpowers now go about dismantling their bombs and missiles that most concern strategic planners, who don't want to see the president's State of the Union message get caught up in a game of disarmament one-upmanship with Moscow. Jim Stewart, CBS News, the White House.
3 U.S.-made F-18 warplanes arrived today in Kuwait. They are the first of 40 high-tech Hornets that Kuwait is buying to modernize its Air Force at a cost of $1.6 billion.
I use a shampoo for dandruff, but my scalp still itches like crazy.
You need new Scalpicin, the revolutionary scalp medicine for deep scalp itch, not ordinary dandruff. Scalpicin is not a shampoo. It's a clear liquid you don't wash away like shampoo. Apply Scalpicin anytime for deep scalp itch relief with medicine chosen by dermatologists over all these dandruff shampoo formulas. Scalpicin penetrates to relieve the itch and help prevent flaking.
The itch is gone.
New Scalpicin, the scalp medicine for deep scalp itch.
Red Lobster knows the colder the water, the sweeter the snow crab. So now, just for January, we bring you special prices on 7 platters of the sweetest snow crab ever, direct from the icy Bering Sea. Hurry to Red Lobster.
It's Red Lobster's lunch special. For a short time, get shrimp and chicken for just $3.99. Golden fried shrimp and grilled chicken breast with salad and baked potato, only $3.99. Now, every day at Red Lobster for lunch.
Oh, are you hungry? Yeah, but what do you think they feed you at a health spa? All the rabbit food you can eat?
This doesn't look bad.
Kraft-free ranch dressing. I eat this at home. Fat-free, cholesterol-free. Sounds like a real treat.
Oh, just try it.
So what do you think? Are you sure this is fat-free? Tastes like the ranch I eat.
Kraft-free ranch non-fat dressing. Fat-free, cholesterol-free. But feel free to love the taste.
I may just make it through the end of the week.
After the Super Bowl, first, a 60 Minutes exclusive interview with Governor and Mrs. Bill Clinton. Then, want to get rich quick? Find out how on 48 Hours, Sunday.
Poland's parliament today passed a stopgap austerity budget that one newspaper calls the poverty bill. Poles are losing faith in leaders they used to think had all the answers, though. Bert Quint now with more on that.
Their factories are closing, their jobs vanishing. 4 of their fellow hunger strikers were hospitalized yesterday, and today 13 representatives of Poland's dying textile industry continue to wait in vain for help from their government. We never thought we would be striking against Solidarity, our own union, Krzysztof Hoffman said. But Solidarity's old guard is running the country. Lech Wałęsa is president. And with the economy still in shambles, prices still soaring, and 10% of the workforce unemployed 2 years after economic reform began, somebody has to get the blame. Wałęsa told Solidarity shop stewards in Warsaw yesterday they should stop calling strikes because they can only make matters worse. You have chosen a driver in the form of Parliament and President. Now keep your hands off the wheel, he demanded, or we will crash. Here, Wałęsa looked and sounded like the old gloves-off union leader. But that's not his job. Under Poland's parliamentary system, he's supposed to deal more with protocol than with power.
How are you feeling? I'm fine, thank you.
He'd feel better, though, if he could become prime minister as well as president, and if Parliament would let him rule by decree. He says he would speed up the process of turning the inefficient state-run textile and other factories that are the legacy of communism into private and hopefully profitable ones. Poland's last communist prime minister, who fought Wałęsa for so many years, agrees that democratic Poland needs a strong hand.
It's a pity, but I think so, but it doesn't mean that I am admirer of such a, government. But it seems to me that the whole development is, marching in this direction.
Maybe the way the leaders of yesterday and today see it, but most Poles who have found they can be poor under capitalism just as they were under communism aren't thinking about politics, just about making it through another winter. Bert Quinn, CBS News, Warsaw.
The Olympic chief, Juan Antonio Samaranch, has asked doctors to determine if other players might be endangered by the participation of Magic Johnson, who has the AIDS virus. Meeting with Russian President Yeltsin today, Samaranch also said that 5 former Soviet republics will compete as one team in the Winter Games. There was an angry clash today in New York City over U.S. policy toward Cuba. Thousands of anti-Castro demonstrators gathered outside a convention hall to protest what was billed as a Peace for Cuba rally being held inside. Sponsors of that event are calling on the United States to ease trade sanctions against Cuba.
Everyone has a dream, a vision deep inside.
When I decide to follow up on an investing idea, I need a broker who's ready when I am.
We make it easier to follow your own lead.
I can call Schwab at any hour, nights or weekends, get the information I need, even place an order to trade.
Always there to give you just the help you need.
Help yourself at Schwab today.
If this were a perfect world, we'd all be driving expensive cars and living on beachfront property. But in the real world, you have to eat. Well, you can eat tuna once in a while. And you have to buy stuff like socks and shoes and CDs. Well, maybe not so many CDs. Fortunately, the people at Isuzu have to buy stuff too. That's why they created the Rodeo, a four-wheel drive vehicle you can afford, and why they'll give you a great deal on a sound system and air conditioning. So now, you can buy more stuff. Oh, we forgot to mention taxes.
I live in the country, where everything tastes a little sweeter and a little fresher. Maybe that's what I like best about these Sunsweet pitted prunes. I can taste all that goodness in Sunsweet.
80% of nation on flu alert. Severe flu season underway. What will you do? Doctors recommend TheraFlu, hot liquid medicine that works fast. TheraFlu, strong therapy for flu symptoms.
Thousands of people are planning to march in Londonderry, Northern Ireland tomorrow to mark the 20th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, a milestone in a cycle of violence that shows no sign of ending. Tom Fenton now with that report.
The IRA has kicked off 1992 with one of the worst campaigns of violence in Northern Ireland's history. More than $100 million in damage has been caused in only 3 weeks. 12 persons have died at the hands of Catholic terrorists and in Protestant reprisals. Despite army reinforcements and heavier security, the British are still unable to solve their longest-standing problem. The British government has tried military force. It has tried throwing money at the problem, and it still won't go away. After more than 2 decades of violence, the terrorists on both sides are better armed and more determined than ever. The IRA's campaign to free Northern Ireland from British rule is waged by underground units of highly trained guerrillas. There are no more than 500 gunmen, but they have been able to tie down 35,000 British soldiers and Northern Ireland police. The point of no return was 20 years ago in Londonderry. A peaceful Catholic civil rights march ended in tragedy when the army blocked the route of the demonstrators. Some Catholics threw stones. The soldiers opened fire. 14 civilians were killed. Father Edward Daly was in the thick of it, tending to the wounded and the dead.
They seem to fire in all directions.
Now Bishop of Londonderry, he has never given up hope for a peaceful solution.
I cannot see any short-term solution. But in the long term, there's got to be. Somebody must find it.
After 2 decades of violence and almost 4,000 dead, life here is anything but normal. Tom Fenton, CBS News, Londonderry.
Back here at home, the Rainbow Coalition Convention that Wyatt Andrews reported on earlier in the broadcast, and which was held today in Washington, points up the importance of black support to Democratic Party candidates. Well, that is the subject tonight of Bruce Morton's commentary.
The Democratic presidential candidates are free to woo black voters this year. They weren't in 1988 or 84 because Jesse Jackson was running, and he had the black vote locked up. The Democratic nominees had to negotiate with Jackson instead of simply saying to black Americans, hey, vote for me. But this time the field is wide open. That probably helps Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton, not because he is necessarily close to blacks on issues, but because, like most Southern Democrats, he has always needed black support to win, has always needed to court blacks, as a Tom Harkin in mostly white Iowa or a Bob Kerrey in mostly white Nebraska has not. The last Democratic presidential candidate to win a majority of white votes in the South was Lyndon Johnson, way back in 1964. Since then, Democrats have needed black support. Jimmy Carter carried the South in 1976, but only with black help. And look at the Senate. Not only relative liberals like White Fowler in Georgia, Terry Sanford in North Carolina, but centrists like Howell Heflin, Richard Shelby in Alabama owe their election to black voters. The formula varies a little from state to state, election to election, but it's basically this. The winning Democrat gets, say, 40% of the white vote, 80 or 85% of the black vote. That's how he wins. He needs a white base, of course, but he needs those black votes to get elected. Clinton is the one Democrat with a lot of practice at building the black and white coalition, and that will probably help him, especially in all those early Southern primaries. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Washington.
The nation's first irradiated strawberries went on sale today in Florida. The berries were treated with radiation to kill bacteria and extend their shelf life. Many scientists say the process is safe, but skeptical opponents were on hand today to warn shoppers of possible side effects.
Do you have a cold?
Yes, I do have a cold.
Here's 2 cold medicines. This relieves these 3 symptoms, this 9. Choose one.
I would use this one.
Why?
That's my cold. The fever, the headaches, the sinus congestion.
Here's what you chose.
I'm totally amazed.
Would you try Dristan Cold?
Absolutely.
How do you feel?
I feel amazingly good.
And for hot, soothing relief when the flu hits, try new Dristan Cold and Flu.
Now's the time for Centrum Silver, because you're over 50 and you're out there swinging. Centrum Silver, a complete vitamin formula for your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
I'd like to talk to you about an invisible problem. The invisible bacteria that cause denture odor. Fortunately, antibacterial Effident kills those odor-causing bacteria for clean, fresh dentures.
Antibacterial Effident.
So I'm in the grocery store, and this really good-looking guy smiles at me and says,
Hi.
Hi. Kellogg's Bran Flakes?
Oh, well, these aren't mine. My folks are visiting.
He didn't have to be embarrassed. I love Kellogg's Bran Flakes. They have this nutty, toasted wheat taste that is really great. Anyway, I grab a box of Kellogg's Bran Flakes and say, gee, that's too bad. I was going to compliment your good taste.
The toasted taste of Kellogg's Bran Flakes.
They're not what you expect.
This, of course, is the eve of the Super Bowl, and what makes this one different is it's going to be cold. James Satori reports.
More than 3 inches of snow fell on the Twin Cities overnight, giving Super Bowl weekend a dose of winter it hasn't had in 10 years. Not exactly a blizzard, but it did catch some fans arriving today off guard.
I've never been so cold in my life. I haven't seen snow in about 5 years.
These are the images usually associated with football's winter extravaganza. It's no mere coincidence that all but 2 of the 26 Super Bowls have been in places like Los Angeles, Miami, and New Orleans. To ease the shock, sponsors here in the Twin Cities are putting their warmest faces forward. Banners and badges in fiery colors, free chemically activated hand warmers to help take off the chill, and at the NFL hotel headquarters, a sand sculpture of next year's Super Bowl site, the Pasadena Rose Bowl.
There's some surfboards and lifeguard chair, sailboats.
The artist, Greg Glenn, a Southern Californian in native garb.
I don't leave this hotel except when I sprint to my car.
The last thing organizers want is 60,000 visitors cursing the Minnesota winter, because all the warmth extended will pay off in cold cash.
In direct spending, we're anticipating about $50 million, and as that money recirculates, it should be $100 million or to $120 million.
Nothing short of a sudden global freeze is likely to affect the biggest money event in sports. Here inside the Metrodome, a 10-acre fiberglass roof and a sophisticated environmental control system will protect players and fans. It could be 40 below outside, but at any seat in the house, it'll be a cozy 72. To the man in charge of heat at the Metrodome, it's just another cold day in Minnesota.
It all depends on what the outside temp is, too, you know. You're going to have to start heating a little sooner.
On game day, some of the fanciest footwork may be on the way to the stadium. James Hattori, CBS News, Minneapolis.
And recapping our top story tonight, Democratic presidential candidate Bill Clinton says it is Republican Party campaign operatives who are spreading the false story. He claims that he had an extramarital affair. The upcoming issue of Newsweek magazine also raises what it says are serious questions about the credibility of Jennifer Flowers, the woman making the allegations. The magazine says it can find no basis for a variety of claims the woman has made, ranging from appearing on the TV show Hee Haw to being a Miss Teenage America. Well, that's the news. Tomorrow on Face the Nation, the Republican leader of the Senate, Bob Dole, and the Democratic leader, George Mitchell. See you then. I'm Bob Schieffer.
Jim Kelly and the Bills. Mark Rippon and the Skins. Fasten your seatbelts. Sunday, Super Bowl 26.
This is CBS.
Next on the TV8 News Live at 6, winter fun in Dubuque this weekend.
The first ever Iowa Winter Games are underway. Officials are already looking forward to next year. I'm Martin Augustine. I'll have a live report via News Star 8.
Jeff Greenwood will take us to an unusual CPR class, only the second of its kind in the country. And we'll show you what folks in Northwest Iowa woke up to this morning.
And after that brief blast of winter, we have some very warm weather in the forecast.
And in sports, you can chalk up another W for the Cyclones.
TV8 News is next.
To really tell tetracyclines apart, you have to be a microbiologist. Or a pig. So choose Oleomycin chlortetracycline. It's proven effective, and it's the only one that's granular. Oleomycin, for easier mixing and healthier pigs.
I hate to travel. I always sit next to the guy who wants to talk to me the whole way. I mean, eventually he starts forming words. I thought maybe if I made better use of my time, I wouldn't have to travel so much. So I got some help from US West. I got the Yellow Pages, cellular phone, pager. Now I can spend more time doing the things I want to do. Like talk to my girlfriend. Hi, honey, it's Jake. I'm back. I should have called sooner.
US West, making the most of your time.
Presenting the price of the year on basic cable installation, $19.92. Call your local Heritage office.
Thank you for watching KCCI, TV8 in Des Moines. And now from TV8, Iowa's news leader, Steve Oswald, Sarah Jarvis, Steve Carlin with weather, and Jeff Johnson sports. This is TV8 News, live at 6.
Good evening and thanks for being with us tonight. A celebration of winter sports is bringing hundreds of folks from around Iowa to Dubuque this weekend.
Now, some of us may not like the chilly temperatures that winter brings, but at the first ever Iowa Winter Games, the cold is more than welcome. TV8's Martin Augustine is in Dubuque with the hardy athletes and joins us to tell us what all this hoopla is about. Martin?
Well, Sarah, the Iowa Winter Games are, of course, being patterned a little bit after the Winter Olympics, something that's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks right here on TV8. Here in Dubuque, we've got skiing, we've got hockey. You can see that going on right behind me. Tomorrow there'll be figure skating, and there's even some sports you might not associate with the winter, such as bowling and, of all things, indoor soccer. We'll start tonight with cross-country skiing, a sport that's ever increasing in popularity. For the next 5 miles or so, these Nordic skiers will glide gracefully, well, some of them gracefully, over the rolling hills near Dubuque in the shadow of the downhill ski runs. Though it seems effortless, it's not.
You got to keep moving every part. I mean, you can't let up with your upper body or your ankles or your, and a lot of wind power.
Cross-country skiers are some of the best athletes in the world.
White should know. He's the 30 to 39-year-old 8-kilometer champion. He's had a lot of practice, probably more than Susie Rickles of Fort Dodge. Before today, Rickles had never strapped on a pair of cross-country skis, and had it not been for her sister, she would have been content to just watch.
She'd never seen a ski slope before. She'd never been to Colorado and seen the mountains, and she saw the snow, and yeah, I want to sign up. So she signed up, and I conned her into it.
What was going through your mind about halfway through this race?
I kept saying, think of Linda. Think of what you can do to Linda.
But Susie's gung-ho efforts are what make the Iowa Games go. Sure, there are the great athletes, but the average Iowan's interest is already making the Iowa Games look to the future.
Each sport committee is learning from experience the first time around, and we've got some really great people up here that are definitely committed to this project.
The Iowa Games probably won't add any more events. Sports like skiing and ice hockey need specific arenas. But if the enthusiasm of the athletes and their fans is any indication, the Winter Games are here to stay. Now, there'll be plenty more ice hockey tonight and tomorrow, and in fact, tonight at 10, we'll take a closer look at one of the hockey teams playing here. It's a group of 12 and 13-year-olds from Mason City. Take a look at them, we'll take a look at their parents, and we'll see what they have to say about the new Iowa Winter Games.
Looks like fun, Martin. How many people are these games attracting to Dubuque?
Well, Joyce Durham of the Iowa Games says they wanted to have about 2,000 competitors this year. They didn't quite reach that. It looks like they're going to have about 1,300, but they say that's not that big a deal to them. As long as they have people coming out, they can expand and look to the future.
Okay, thanks. Martin Augustine reporting live from Dubuque.
Dubuque was also the scene of a very large pro-life rally today. About 200 marched through the downtown part of the city protesting a proposed Planned Parenthood clinic there. There was no counter-demonstration to the group's 7th annual Walk for Life. Officials with Planned Parenthood say no abortions will be provided at the Dubuque clinic, but women who go to the clinic will receive information about abortions and other reproductive choices. The clinic has been delayed by budget cutbacks. Police today are trying to find the vandals involved in an incident at Operation Rescue headquarters in Des Moines overnight. Representatives of the controversial anti-abortion group say that someone poured a bucket of paint over the headquarters windows about 3 this morning. Police were called immediately, but by the time the officers arrived, the vandals had fled.
We don't know who did it, and I won't accuse anyone, but it's suspicious that they tried to cover the pictures of the aborted babies and our signs, and so we think maybe because we're being effective that people are angry about it.
Operation Rescue officials say that the group's headquarters has been targeted by vandals before, but the officials say this is the worst damage they've ever seen.
Des Moines police are stumped for leads on where a shooting suspect may be hiding out. Police are looking for 21-year-old Kojo Fields of Des Moines in connection with the attempted murder of Eugene Davis on Thursday. Police describe Fields as a black male, 5 foot 11 inches tall, 150 pounds, with a scar on the right side of his head. Both of his ears are pierced. Fields is wanted in connection with the shooting at the 1400 block of 12th Street on Thursday. Police are asking if you have any information to call 283-4814.
It has been said that one of the most valuable skills you can ever learn is how to perform CPR. You can learn it by reading, listening, and watching. That is, unless, of course, if you're blind. But as TVA's Jeff Greenwood now reports, that's no longer a barrier.
Imagine seeing someone who's collapsed. Their heart is stopped and they're not breathing. You give them CPR, right? But what if you're blind? 1, 2, 3. For these people, that's not a problem. All 16 of these participants are visually impaired, and one of them is also deaf.
These participants actually learn a little bit faster than some of the people in our regular classes. They're real tuned into being able to find landmarks and being able to remember sequences very well. I'm just amazed.
This CPR course is more touch and sound oriented than a typical course, and the instruction book had to be modified for blind people. But organizers stress this CPR course is just as stringent as anyone.
We don't compromise standards here today. They have to pass the exact same tests that you and I do. They have to be able to perform the same skills that we do too.
C, trouble breathing, or D, all these things above.
All the things above. Participants take the same test, but they can't read it. So a local group of Campfire kids volunteered for that. Overall, it's a unique opportunity that the students say they appreciate.
I don't know how it's done with people who see, but I think this is a better approach whether or not people see.
The students who pass will be officially certified in CPR. While they may never be able to see the person they saved, it doesn't take eyesight to know they've done it. Jeff Greenwood, TV8 News.
Mercy Hospital sponsored that program. It says this is only the second time in the nation something like this has been offered.
Well, Des Moines escaped the worst of the Alberta Clipper that swept across the upper Midwest this morning. Folks in northwest Iowa, however, weren't so lucky. Here in Manchester, residents are digging out from 4 to 5 inches of snow. And that's not bad enough. Northwest Iowa was also socked with winds up to 45 miles an hour. Wind chills made it feel like 50 below in some places out there. All this a friendly reminder that winter may be sticking around with us for a while.
Looks like we're kind of lucky here in Des Moines. We didn't get any of that. Steve Carlin now has an update on what the weather picture holds for us. Steve?
Well, Steve, we did miss the worst of this storm. We only got a trace of snow here in Des Moines, and that's melted by now because it was so warm today. Most of the snow falling once again up to the north. As we can take a look at the graphic right now, you can see about 4 inches. There we go. About 4 inches at Waterloo, Dubuque, and Cedar Rapids, 6 inches up there in Mason City. Nothing like that in the forecast, though, just more warm weather. I'll be back with that in just a bit.
Okay, thanks a lot, Steve. And there is more to come on the TV8 News Live at 6, including a group of young dads showing their moves in Des Moines today.
And our John Pascuzzi takes us back to the silver screen with his review of the action-packed film Juice. Stay with us.